Have you seen the movie?
David,
You seen the TV series Murder in the
We're waiting, David, right now. Guys,
Oh, that's right. Oh,
waiting, David.
Suli's birthday's on Friday, September 2nd.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's almost my mom.
Oh, there he is.
David, the most funniest picture ever.
I'm excited about today.
Oh,
I'm really excited. We got family here.
I'm excited.
Family and love.
Coming to
Just for
visit
you,
today.
David.
So, hey, we are going to be starting in about 2 minutes. I want to give you a few heads up. Beside having two amazing, wonderful, I was just taking it in because they're all about love, you know? It's all about the love and healing and family. And I tell you, it's people like them. It's humans like them, even though I do think sometimes I'm from another planet, and all the love that we give, you know, it's people like them who really keep us together, keep this world together. It's all about giving and allowing and receiving, and they're here today, and I will be introducing them very soon. The wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Ann Benson, and the amazing creator himself, Paul Howard, is here, and they were all here before. They came before to the wonderful Performing Arts Studio West live, and with their wonderful show Ann Asks, which we will get into. Wanted to let you know that we have some wonderful interpreters here today for ASL, the deaf and hard of hearing, for those who have that. So we will be having Diamond here and one other wonderful interpreter, and we have a co-host. You all know him, the man himself, the man who created Performing Arts Studio West, Mr. John Paces.
Hey, everybody. Long time no see, everybody. Hi, Ann and
let's
Paul.
see where.
I didn't expect to get you guys in the same room together. I don't know why, but it's wonderful to see you sitting side by side. That's beautiful.
Okay, I've gotta find you here, Johnny. Johnny, I'm looking for your face. Johnny.
I'm here somewhere.
I know you're here. You're here. Oh, there you are. Hi, John. Oh my God. Oh, and all the Meet the Biz families coming on in. I love it. Well, you know what? To start this off, we could have the wonderful interpreters come on now too, if needed. But before we start off and introduce our guest today, Christine's gonna show the trailer for the movie that's coming out this next month, A Pebble in the Pond.
So excited, you guys.
Very excited. Take a look at this, everybody. You're gonna fall in love. Thank you, Christine.
Dear Operation School Bell, thank you. Thank you, Operation School Bell. Dear Operation, thank you. Thank you. Dear Operation, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Operation School Bell.
I love that. I love that. Everybody, Ann Benson and Paul Howard. They're here.
Welcome, you guys. Wow, you both look amazing. You both look amazing. Good, so good to see you. You know, I think everybody is going to have to stock up on Kleenex and tissue when they watch A Pebble in the Pond, because it is going to be a tearjerker and very heartwarming. So, yay! Anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. David, you want to kick things off?
Well, yeah, I mean, so the movie is finally coming out right now. Yes, this next couple weeks.
September 13th, less than 2 weeks. Yep.
Love it. How
So
long?
we'll make sure to get the links to everybody because it's going to be an online event.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So we'll make sure to get links to everybody, and please share, you guys, when we have projects that are by people that we've worked with. It's just the best thing in the world to support them because that's how this beautiful world works, right? Everybody supporting each other.
The really nice thing too is we have approval on all video on demand platforms. So it's going to be on iTunes, it's going to be on Amazon, it's going to be on YouTube, it's going to be on Xbox. It will be pretty much everywhere you can possibly see films. It will be there on video on demand. So that's the other exciting thing is we're going to get onto all of the platforms.
Like Amazon?
Yep. Everywhere.
Wow.
I mean, pretty much everywhere.
That is fantastic. Now, I'm curious about the inception of the film. Was this something that was a kind of a natural transition from doing the Anne Asks episodes, or this is just a completely new, unique thing? Tell us how this came about, you guys.
It was to be another Anne Asks. And Paul and I knew nothing about this organization, the Assistance League, and we were invited to come to Universal and watch them in action. What I mean by that is they had 200 children that they were putting new clothes on, new shoes on, giving them school supplies and backpacks and reading books to read and toys to play with. And then they were going to get, thanks to Universal, they were having lunch and they were going to be at Universal and have the excitement of being at Universal. So it was like Christmas, and it was so moving. I cried.
Yeah, we both did. On the first day that we were there, like she said, at Universal, we really had no idea what we were seeing. And so we were both overtaken by emotion, just watching kids, many times foster children that are in the foster system, children who are low income or homeless, even getting shoes, getting brand new uniforms, getting to pick their own book. It really was like, I mean, it's something that still makes you emotional. And parts of the movie, as you said, John, at the beginning, it's still, parts make me tear up still because it is so profound, the experience, and watching people give back and receive. And right away, I remember we were walking away from the event. I was walking Anne back to her car, and I said at that moment, I said, this is something longer. This is a film. This is a feature.
But it was before we knew about all the different aspects of what these people were doing. These women, these volunteers were helping women who had been literally raped and taken to the hospital, they took their clothes, the police did, because they needed the evidence. And they thought of something I never would have, that what were these people to wear home? What were these women to wear? And so they created a package, giving them a sweatsuit and shoes to go home in, and a toothbrush and soap to wash themselves. I was overwhelmed. And then going to the other extreme, they had live puppets that I could talk to like a person because they were so big, that they used and to give it to do a little shows at school for any number of reasons. One, because they had one that addressed the fact that kids are teased, and another because there's a one about being different. All the things that bother children, they've created a little play about, and they bring that to the school to help them get over that particular problem.
Isn't that a beautiful, just another way of learning and another way of teaching? And I mean, this goes way back. Only a few people will know here, Anne, you and I, maybe Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, and those kind of things, from back in the day. And Sesame Street obviously was a huge influence. So for people to have the insight and the creativity to say, some of these young kids, they may learn better from a puppet and this type of of communication than from a real human being, and it kind of brings it to that fun level.
The other
And-
thing about the puppets specifically, Kids on the Block is the program. It was started because schools were beginning to merge students with disabilities. And so they began the puppet show. The very first puppet character, which you meet in the film, also has, I think he has braces on his legs for sure. And he's a disabled student. It was to get the other students to get used to and understand. And it became this phenomenon, and the Assistance League took that and built on it some of the chapters. So as Anne mentioned, they do Operation School Bell, which is the program we started talking about, but there are so many other programs that this massive organization, because there's 120 chapters throughout the United States,
Wow.
do. And the film talks about those things, but also the origins, the history of the organization, because that's pretty phenomenal when you find out that it was founded by a woman and all of the things that she did that was super innovative. So it's exciting to be able to like bring this feel good energy to the world, but to also inform and educate people too.
Also, what we found out, these were all things we knew nothing about. When we found out all these elements that we wanted to include, we knew it couldn't be an Anne Ask. So Paul decided, let's do a documentary. And that's how the documentary was born.
Now, how many days of filming were involved here?
Oh my.
Total, it was like 12 days, but over a year. And
Oh, wow.
because it's an independent film, which I love to remind everybody every opportunity I get, and David will be able to definitely relate to this too.
Oh, yeah.
It's an independent film, so it is not a Hollywood sponsored film, and it's not something where there's funding in place. So I really got people to do the work for free because they believed in the idea, or for super low rates. And I will always be grateful, both of us, because I mean, Anne also included, but I just look at that everybody was donating their time because they believed in the cause, because they believed in the story. So it takes longer to film something if you don't have a budget in place. And then we did raise some money on Kickstarter when we did a campaign on Kickstarter that helped to kind of mostly finalize and kind of do all the post-production. But there are animated sequences in the film, which I'm very excited about. And those were all, the animators donated their time, which is phenomenal. And just kind of unheard of, to be honest, in our industry, that so many people donated their time because they believed in it. So
that's beautiful.
The title is brilliant, because you think about a pebble going into the pond, and it is those ripples, those waves.
And every time we do something, we're creating more ripples.
And that's important. That's important for everybody to understand too. The positive things that you put out in the world, and I'm talking to everybody at this point, those things reach people, and those things grow, and those things come back to us. And that's why it's always very, very important to have integrity in what you do and love for what you do. And I was saying to my wife, Megan, yesterday, I said, part of what makes Performing Arts Studio West and those people like Paul and Ann that we are close to so special is because they have a tremendous amount of love and integrity for what they are doing. And that's what makes success, you guys. That's
it really comes from the heart, doesn't it?
It does.
Now, how long did you guys spend in post? How long was that process?
not long. I mean, I looked this up actually recently. We started filming in early 2018, and by the end of 2019, we had our premiere for friends and family. So, just under 2 years. And that's, again, unheard of. But then we did the film festival circuit. That version was what I'm now calling like a director's cut. It was longer. And so based on various information and kind of like feedback I got, we ended up trimming it down to what the film now is. And I think it's, you know, the proof is it got distribution, you know, there's much more, it's a much more streamlined, tight film that I'm very proud of. But you kind of have to go through the process to realize, oh, it's a little long. This could maybe be cut. Anne was very much an advocate of like trimming parts. You know, I get to the point where it's like, oh, I want to tell this part, or oh, that's so necessary. And as a director, as a filmmaker, you get too close, I think sometimes. But there was a distance of a little bit of time, and I looked at it again with fresh, kind of a fresh lens. And the editor, Gareth, and I worked on it extensively to trim it back, and it's now 104 minutes, which is a perfect length.
Beautiful, perfect.
And I think that was also why the distributor was very interested in it, because it's just the perfect feel good. It's a documentary, which is very popular right now, but it isn't the doom and gloom that you so often see, or just, you know, I love documentaries, but they can be very heavy. And this is a film that, yes, you'll need tissues, I think, for certain parts, but it's tears of like happiness and joy. And it's not that like you walk away and you want to, you know, it's a sense of really feeling empowered and hopeful. And the ripples, like Anne said, it really is about creating ripples and what can you do in your life, in your community.
Now, how did the two of your ripples meet, so to say?
How did your ripples intersect?
How did you? Yes, I like that.
For Paul, for a part in a short film he was making. I didn't get the part.
She loves telling this story. She
Found
loves
somebody who looked much more like a grandmother and much older than I am. She's probably younger than I am. But I agree. I would have hired her too. I've never admitted that. But he wrote a part just for me. And because we clicked. I mean, it was something that happened. We knew that we were friends and that I couldn't just walk away. I felt it and Paul felt it.
Absolutely.
And then he said to me, what would you like to do? Would you like to do something with me? And I said, yeah, I love that. He said, well, do you want to do a comedy? You just got off of Betty White's Off Their Rockers. I said, no, I've done enough. I love comedy. But I want to do something different. I'd like to do something that makes people feel good. I'd like to find people who are doing something wonderful, but they're not in the spotlight. Nobody knows about them. Let's find those people, because I need to, very selfishly, I need to feel good. I think these are very troubled times, and for so many reasons, people aren't very secure, and they're worried. And I'd like us to show them something that gives them hope and that will make them feel as good as we feel working with these people.
And interestingly, a Performing Arts Studio West comes into play, because we had filmed some I don't consider episodes now, but kind of like a pilot, let's say, for Anne Ass. And it was a different vibe. And we filmed at Performing Arts Studio West, and before we'd edited it together, it was a similar kind of response of what I was describing with the Assistants League. Anne and I were so moved, and the comments from the students and just how profound and beautiful and kind and empathetic, and it really, I mean, I think both of us, I can speak for Anne and say, we were really like deeply affected by it. And so it added kind of a level of importance to the project. It was like, wait, like this is something that we can make that is more, you know, than even I had envisioned. And so Performing Arts Studio West episode 1 of Anne Ass really, I think, set us off into a very specific direction of, as Anne described, people doing good things, people inspiring the world in small or larger ways. But that ripple effect, and the title of the film, as you brought up, David, it's all tied in because we saw these ripples before we knew what they were, but saw that this like effect that students, that you all had on the students, that they had on you, it just was a beautiful cycle. And it's all led us to where we are right now, which is very, very affirming and exciting because, it has worked out so well in so many ways.
This is the most fun I've ever had in my entire life, I was also a musician, I was a rock musician and a singer and a songwriter, and moved back out to LA in 1980 with my brother, and we were in a rock and roll band. And my whole theory back then was just, like, make these guys feel like rock stars, in whatever they do.
I'm nice to everyone, and some people don't treat me with the respect I want, but I tell them that's okay. I don't care what you guys think about me. I'm perfectly happy being who I am, and I would not change for nobody else, because God made me the person who I am today.
I have to say too that that so many of our students, when they heard you were coming on today, they said, oh, they're coming back.
Well, that's because the best part of filming that day was that I got to do everything they were doing. I was terrible at dance. I was watching the other students and they were much better and much more limber than I was. But then we did something on stage and I got to play a character and I thought, oh, this is really fun. And it was just a magical day.
It was.
Really was. Well, so many of the students sent in questions. And we have one of our students here who sent in a question, Ashley Anderson, and she has a couple of questions for you both.
Oh, good.
Here she is, Ashley Anderson.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
Hi.
How did you get involved in this?
Kind of cutting out a little bit. How did you get?
How did you get involved in this project?
Project? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Project.
Thank you for your question. I got involved because I met Paul, and Paul and I decided to do something together. And what I had done with whatever talents I seem to have all my life was something that helped somebody else. I don't know how that happened. I don't know why that happened, but it was something from the time I was a little girl that interested me. And I thought this was a great opportunity to highlight people who are doing things that are wonderful for other people.
Now, if I can follow up on that, Ashley, and you guys, you've both been actors and performers for many, many years. How was it making that transition from being in front of the camera to being behind the camera and producing and all that goes along with that?
I think it was very organic for me because as a young person, I always saw, and I think Anne actually has this similar experience too. I always saw the whole picture. I always was interested in more than my role. I liked the idea of not just the other characters in the story, but, and this is the key, the audience. I was always very conscious of how do they feel about it? What will they do? What will they think? And not in a kind of insecure way, but in a very I think profound way. Like I wanted them to experience something. I wanted them to feel something. So for many years, as I pursued acting only, it was a focus of the industry, especially at the time. Like you were just an actor. You never told people that you wrote or that you directed. And so unfortunately, I kind of fell into that. And I think I stunted some of that or pushed it down. And only after I think going kind of through the race of being an actor and feeling discontent and feeling like I was more of a prop than, something that was, innovating those ripples or, was creating things, did I start to think, well, I could make a movie or I could write a thing and I could star in it. And, and I mean, it started very, egotistically that way. But then it also became an opportunity to bring my friends to tell the stories that I found interesting. And really it started with short films, like Anne was referencing. One of the first short films I did that she auditioned for was that. So to go back to, because I love the purpose and why we're here today, had Anne not auditioned, had I not chosen to change that path, we wouldn't be here today. And I find that so, maybe it's so simple, but it's so profound at the same time, because it's a reminder that our choices, our actions do matter and they have consequences, but they also can inspire and change the world. And I think too often we're told the opposite, that we're one person and that those choices we make don't really matter in the end. And I don't see that as an example of life, because I see the two of you and the class of students and Anne sitting next to me, and I just see it does matter, the choices that we all make, and it does impact people. So,
well, especially at this time in history, I mean, we really have to stand up for what we believe, and that is the core of love. And I think we're all about that. Ashley, I know you had one other question.
Oh, good. Go ahead, Ashley.
If you had to sing this film up in one word, where would it be?
If you had to sum this film up in one word, what would it be?
You wanna pick a word?
Love.
And I would say hope.
Yes.
Two of the most important things on the planet, you guys.
Yeah.
Two of the most important things on the planet. Ashley, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to submit your questions. Beautiful. Great to see you. Thank you for being so articulate and getting these questions across to Paul and Anne.
Thank
All righty,
you.
David, who else? We got some other
We do, I know that we had, let's see, Devon Morgan said something, and this is getting, like Anne, you have done so many shows. I mean, I'll get to Devon in a second, but I mean, you have done, of course, on Betty White's show. By the way, when I say Betty White, what comes to your mind?
Oh, so many things. We had such a good time. And I loved Betty. I not only loved her, but respected her and learned from her, because she had perfect timing. She always knew exactly what to say in the moment that was funny and meaningful or cute. I think of Betty. I'll tell you what I think about. I remember one night we shot until after 10, and she was sitting on a little stool, not a chair, just a little stool, and flirting with the cameraman. And she had to be in wardrobe the next morning at 8 o'clock. And she never, ever once complained. And I thought that was such bravery, and so she was so special that she wasn't thinking about herself, but in getting the job done. And I love being a part of that.
Well, there was such chemistry. I mean, you all had such chemistry. You all worked together so well.
Yes.
It was so funny.
And none of us knew each other before that, but we all became good friends.
Do you remember that Anne was filming an episode in Studio C? Do you remember that I ran into and you were like, I'm filming the show? Because I was like, what is Anne doing? Like on the street, it was like early on a Sunday or something. And I'm like, what is Anne doing on the street? And I'm like, hey, Anne. And she's like, go away. And I'm like, I was like, what is going on? And then I like noticed cameras across the street and I'm like, she's like, I'm working. But I'll never forget what's the timing of that. I just was like, what's Anne doing over there?
Oh my gosh. I love that. Now, and one other thing, I didn't even know all this. You starred, Anne, in Hello, Dolly, Mame, Oliver, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, The King and I mean, all of these are my favorite musicals.
Well, they're mine too. I had a wonderful time. All of those were in Summerstock, an equity company in Saugatuck, Michigan.
Yeah.
And we drove up there every summer. I was the star of their show until Oliver.
Oh,
Never forget that.
I want more, sir.
When my son found out that they were doing Oliver, he said, well, we just saw it. I think we go back to Broadway. We've just seen it on Broadway.
Yeah.
And Robbie said to me, I can do that. And then when he found out I was doing Oliver, he said, I want to be Oliver. And I said, well, I can't help you, but I'll tell you what to do. You have to write to the director and ask him for an audition. And he did. And they had already found a blonde, blue-eyed little boy who was going to be Oliver. So he had a lot of competition. And we were getting ready to leave for Saugatuck and from New York, from Manhattan. And I said, you know what? This is my theater. This is where I am the star. And you haven't cracked the book. You haven't listened to the music. And you're going to embarrass me. No, he took the script. He took the record. He went into his room. And not an hour or two later, he pops out, knows every word. And I found out when we started showing Oliver at the Red Barn in Saugatuck, I was no longer the star.
Oh, your son
Everybody
was.
came up to me, as they always did, but they said, we want Robbie's autograph. Who started his career?
How old was he then?
Oh my God. 10?
Wow.
I don't, yeah.
That was great.
And
That's
he did beat out that blonde, blue-eyed little boy.
right. My gosh. I love that story. Well, yes, Devon Morgan. Devon Morgan, where are you? Let's see. Devon
Is he
Morgan.
here? I didn't see him previously.
Oh, there he is.
Is he
Hello.
here?
Hi.
Oh, hey, Devon. Great to see you, man. Sorry about that.
We'll unmute you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us, Devon.
Can we unmute?
I got him.
You got him? There we go.
Okay,
There
there
we
we go.
There you go,
For
buddy.
some reason I was muted twice. Sorry.
All right. What's your question for Ann and Paul?
Nice to see you again, Ann.
Oh, so nice to see you again.
Well, first off, Ann, if you don't know this, I have an Evolution Land background that me and Matthew Selden are working together upon. And my question for you is, have you ever thought about voicing any cartoon characters in the near future?
Ooh, I'd love to do that.
The way you said that was perfect. Ooh.
She's auditioning right now.
And just to let you guys know, the Evolution Land, that's a series of short animated pieces that Matt is doing Matt Selden is doing the animation and the writing on, and Devon has played a number of characters through the evolution of Evolution Land.
Love that. That's
Yes.
Do you have something that I could do? Are you offering me a part? Last audition?
amazing. She'll audition.
I'm actually starting working on a couple of more, so.
Okay, keep me in mind, okay?
Okay.
Hey.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Devon Morgan.
Good seeing you again.
Good to see you too.
Thanks, Devon.
So, gosh, I want to say, I know you brought up the word hope, Paul. What is your definition of hope?
I think hope is faith, but with action. I think it's a belief system. It's something that propels you or motivates you or keeps you safe, but it's the action. And that's, I think, one of the, in creating ripples, the word create is the action. And I think it's not ripples arbitrarily. It's not happenstance or Oedipus Rex syndrome where things just happen to you. It's choice and interaction. And as I have said a couple times now, the things that we each do in our lives, the doors that we open, the phone calls that we make, those things, the art that we create, you know, they matter. And I think that for me is hope. It's such a hard thing to define in some ways, but it's also so simple. It is a faith. It is a belief put to action.
And when you see in all of Anne asks, in all of the things we've done, when you see people who are giving time and giving something of themselves, a piece of themselves, and helping somebody else, you know, there's hope right there. You don't have to look any farther. These people are such an inspiration. And like you, John.
Thank you.
And perfect example. And it really, it makes a difference. We go home or we walk away with hope. We just feel different. I think that's what I was after.
Yeah.
I think that's what we got. And that's why we'll continue to do.
I'm so excited to see the film.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to see it in this incarnation, because I saw it at the premiere with friends and family, which I was blessed to go to with Jerry Jewell. And this is exciting to see that. You were saying we talked about love, we talked about hope, and this other word popped into my mind when you both were talking about that is joy.
Oh,
What brings you joy in life?
Well, I like creating art for sure. That brings me joy. And I think others on this can relate to, I very much am an artist in that way. It brings me profound joy to tell stories, to influence audiences, to see their reactions, but also to work. I like the process. Not everybody does, but I like the process of creating.
Oh, I think most people like doing it. That is the best part.
I think so.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's not an actor who disagree with you. They love the rehearsals. They love building something, and then performing it. Oh God, yes.
It's joyful. And so that brings me joy. And I think, I like on a personal level, I like communicating and connecting to people. That's something that brings me joy. Experiencing life. We were talking about this before the call, just choosing to look up from your phone, to like go out your door, to like experience the world and look around, and sometimes not even be an active participant, just be an observer. I think those can bring you joy.
Oh.
Right.
I find joy in a lot of ways. Holding my baby, my firstborn, for the first time.
Yeah.
Little Shelley, when they handed me her, and I can never recapture I feel it to this day, actually, what it meant to look at that little baby that was going to be my daughter.
Yeah.
It came from my husband and me, and she was so precious. She was like a doll.
Yeah.
It was, to me, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And those chills that I felt then, I feel now. That was joyous. I find joy in performing. I love that, from the time I was a little girl. I was pretty obnoxious as a little girl. I would learn, we were doing a play in school, I'd learn everybody's part. And God forbid they paused because I was going to come in there with their line, big and loud. So I got over that, you know, I learned to stick to my own line. But that was one of the first things I did. I had the joy of being on stage. I remember one of the first things I ever did, my brother had just been born, and I was on stage and my mother was sitting in the first row, and I sang Little Curly Head in a High Chair, Little Curly Hair in a High Chair. And it was for my brother. I mean, yeah, he was our new baby. And that was really meaningful to me. And another wonderful memory I have was being in Peter and the Wolf. It was, and I think it was Jacques Singer who was the conductor. And it was this grand production with maybe 50 children.
Right.
And I got to be in that. I was singing with all of these other children, and that was just joyous. The only thing I remember other than that about that performance was that the conductor picked up a chair and threw it across the room. So I saw something for the first time.
What's his name, Bob?
I think I mentioned it. I shouldn't have. And now I realize as a grown-up that trying to take care of these 50 kids plus an entire orchestra was a little more than he had ever expected. And he must, well, I'll just never forget that chair going across the room. That was universal, of course.
It's those memories. It's those memories that I was just thinking about. Whatever the creative force that brings us and creates us, and whatever you believe, it's those intricate things about those memories that bring you those joy, that can take you back to certain moments and go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would have thought of that had you not given me these questions.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I see Mark Wells sent a question, and if you're there, Mark Wells, I know there he is. And I wanted to get Mark Wells in here. Here comes Mark.
I got two questions.
Okay.
When did you get your break in films?
I don't know. I'm just a journeyman. I've always done a lot of different things. I worked in films in New York. I was an extra in a lot of films. I think my first speaking job was in a film where about all the lights going off in New York. Do you remember that?
Where were you when the lights went out?
Yeah.
Was that no? Because
New York.
I was on the 28th floor.
Oh.
Lincoln Towers, in the most wonderful apartment I could possibly have.
This is in real life? Or
In
this is
real life.
Okay.
And I remember that my daughter thought she was under the dryer, and she thought she was responsible for the blackout. And Robbie, my son, was going up and down 28 stories with a flashlight, helping people get up and down because the elevators weren't working. I was in the film about that story.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't put any of my personal problems into it. That was just a sideshow in itself.
No, they should have put that in there. It would have like really spiced it up. Oh, that's a great one.
That was my first, I think, that I ever.
And one more.
Yeah.
When you help the children do Meals on Wheels, do you ever donate clothes or anything to the kids when you did Meals on Wheels?
Well, I've donated a lot of children's clothes.
Because I went to Meals on Wheels in Rochester, New York.
I have been I get a Christmas card every year from a friend, and what she does is list all the people she loves and makes this big contribution to Meals on Wheels. And that's the only way I've been a part of that particular program. It's a wonderful program.
I know too that Mark sent in a question saying how that he's been involved, but he says, how can he get more involved in something like you both did in Pebbles, a Pebble in the Pond?
I think it depends. If you are interested in the Assistance League specifically, then you can go to their site. But one of the messages I think that we try to create with ANAS and A Pebble in the Pond is it is about the impact you make on the world and what you bring to the world. So you can also be involved or create your own organizations or just grassroots, community-based. Like I said recently, you know, I clean up the trash just in my neighborhood that's right around my house because why wouldn't I? I live there. And imagine if all of us did that in our neighborhoods, what the world would look like. So I think sometimes we're looking for these really profound, I have to join this organization or I have to donate $10 million when you can just clean up the trash in your neighborhood and be impacting the world, because people will see that, people will benefit from that, you will benefit from that. So to answer the question, I would say it depends on what it is you're seeking. And then I think find your space in that, whether it be one of these organizations we're talking about or a smaller one or your own, you know, community.
If Meals on Wheels is something that you really care about, call their local chapter and volunteer. Tell them, how can I help with your organization? What job could you give me that I could do so that I can be a part of your organization? If I wanted to do something ever, I would just go to the source. I would find out who is president.
Yeah,
she would.
Pick up the phone or march myself over there and introduce myself. Just go for it.
That's really, really good advice. You know, Mark, there are so many organizations that are looking for help, you know, and they welcome volunteers with open arms. So thank you for that. And good questions, Mark. All right.
Have a happy painting. God bless.
Oh, thank you. And
Mark.
God bless you.
Oh, let's see here. Let's see. You know, I did see, let's see, Pam Rauka. Let's get Pam out here and see what you'd like to say, Pam, and what question you have.
Okay. I know that Robbie Benson, he did a cartoon character. I think he got a cartoon here. He did
Beauty and the Beast.
You know, yeah. And I want to know, have you did any musicals? And Benson, and I think his name is Paul.
Yes, I did a number of musicals. I think David listed some of the things I did because I did it in summer stock every summer. I love musicals, and yes, Robbie was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast in the cartoon film. I want you to know, I am the mother of the Beast.
I love that.
I like
the mother of the Beast.
I like Ice Castles, a movie, a very good movie.
Yeah, I think it was a wonderful movie. And
Pam, you're a huge Robbie fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I like it because I got the movie Ice Castles, and I like it. He's a very good in that movie.
Oh yes, I remember Ice Castles very well. In fact, Robbie doesn't remember this, but I read the script first. And then when I got to the end and she tripped over arose, I cried. And I said, you have to do this film. He doesn't remember that.
He'll swear that you just made that up, Ann.
No,
Oh my
I
God.
didn't.
No, he'll swear you made it up.
Thank you, Pam.
Pam, great questions. Thank you very much, dear.
It was lovely this year.
So, you know, I see Alan Davis wrote a wonderful question here. Alan, I could bring you on if you'd like. There we go. Alan Davis.
There he is. Hi, Alan.
Hey, Alan.
My question is, what are your future plans? Do you plan on like making any documentaries and other charities in the future?
Yes, in fact, I want to do another Ann Asks, and I have my eye on a project. And because of the pandemic, we couldn't do anything. We were just stopped in our tracks. So now that things are more normal or getting normal, at least we can get shots and go about our business, we're ready to do another Ann Asks. The only reason we haven't is because we stayed safe.
Yeah.
Away from a lot of people. So yes, that's what I want to do next.
Yeah, I'm always developing. I've been working on a couple of different projects that I hope to be feature documentaries that I am developing that have, again, the similar attitude of, you know, inspiring people, informing them, but also entertaining them. So there's definitely stuff that I'm working on also in addition to the Ann Asks. So it's exciting.
Yeah. You know, creativity, and you guys know this, creativity begets creativity. You know, the more creative you are, it's like, you know, it's like the snowball rolling downhill, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, and with more people you meet, more connections you make, more ideas you have, more that you feel in your heart, you know, more you open yourself to everything that's going on in the world. There's an endless amount of things out there that can be highlighted and turned into, you know, projects to share with the world. So good for you guys. Good question now.
There's an endless amount of joy and hope and happiness. There is this sense, I think, that there's a limitation to it, or there's a finite amount, but in actuality, it's within each of our own lives to decide how much we engage. So I think, like creativity, like you're saying, John, but it also is hope, it's happiness, it's your pot that you can pull from anytime you want to, if you choose to.
And it's keeping me young. Younger with every project.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thank you, Alan. Great question.
Thank you, Alan.
It is.
Well, we have time for a couple more questions from everybody. I know that he tells me all the time, and you could probably see his shadow. I know you met him when you came here. T-Bone, here he is.
Hello, people. How you doing?
Good.
Even better hearing from you.
It's real good to see you lovely people again.
Thank you.
Hey, I have one question for you. Do you plan to do a series on person with cerebral palsy?
Any projects having to do with anyone with cerebral palsy?
Do you plan to do a series with somebody that has cerebral palsy like me?
I think one of the reasons we're doing things like this and promoting A Pebble in the Pond is to remind people that representation matters. And that's something that's very important to me. And I speak about it all the time on social media, and also is a huge component to Ann Asks and to A Pebble in the Pond, is representation and showing different people's experiences. I don't personally have a project specifically working on right now, but I think that's, as John was referencing, you can stimulate and begin to like plant those seeds in creating other projects. And also, I think the world is your oyster, you know, saying that you can be engaged. You can get people who want to be a part of and make things. I think that's one of the biggest messages I would share with people, is that creativity is yours, and you can be a part of projects that define or move you, and others will find you and will be attracted to that, and you'll bring that.
And if we ever do a show on cerebral palsy, we're going to come get you. Just
And I
never
have
do
one,
one.
and I have one more question for you.
You got a follow-up question, T-Bone?
I have one more question for you. I am a cameraman. It is something that I do a lot of work for job because I like doing camera work. What would you say for me if it would be easier for me to go in and produce it with a, cause I like to edit. I like editing the shows that we do for performing arts. What would you advise for me to become a better producer?
Well, you're a cameraman. Wow.
Behind the camera.
Paul,
I
can't
think
you use him?
sure. I think that absolutely, the thing that's amazing in today in 2022, we were just saying this yesterday, that why would you want to live in any other time? The technology that's available to us, the ability to do more, even what we're doing right now, none of us are in the same room, but we're able to all have a important conversation and connect with each other. I think that, yeah, that the world is limitless, or only limited by what you limit yourself by and what you believe. I think that there's always opportunity. And if you are passionate about doing camera work or producing or editing, you should pursue those things. And my best advice for producing, or how to be a good producer, is be passionate about what you're doing, because it's a lot of work, or can be, and often you're with it for a long time. So love what you're doing. And that will also come out in the final product too, and for audiences.
Well, thank you, T-Bone, for your question. That's a really, really good question, and people can learn from that. And I think that's it, following your passion and having integrity, and just keeping your eyes open and your heart open, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
John, we probably have time for one more. You want to pick somebody? I know there's John Vioso, there's Lucas, there's Christina.
Let's go with Johnny V.
Johnny V. There we go. Johnny V.
Well, it's nice to meet you very much.
Thank you.
Just listening, I think, has been like very uplifting, and just the drive and that passion that you guys have is, I think it's like just outstanding.
Thank you.
Because you probably heard it before, but it's like, it's people like both of you that make this world so great. And I wish we had more of it.
You're gonna make me.
But the question I actually do have, where's all this passion come from? Because I'm very intrigued by what you guys do for what you do.
I think mine is a love for people. And as a result of that, you want to reach out and help. All my life, I've tried to help women, particularly, get jobs, get promotions, get business. It's just something that I've always done. And I have a great number of friends who I feel that I made a difference in their lives. And that makes me really feel good.
I think my passion is similar to Anne's. It comes from my own personal journey, and being a survivor of abuse. That is something that I have grown from, and my empathy comes from. So it's hard to sometimes describe it, but that passion comes from a desire of wanting to connect and help others. And it's in part just who I am. I mean, you know, that's kind of a cheap answer, but I also do think that partly it's just who we are.
Yeah, you're like the nature.
Absolutely. And if you were born with empathy, with understanding, with a desire, like Anne said, to communicate, to talk, to connect to people, you know, I think some of those can be taught, certainly, but some of it is just, are you curious, you know, and we are very curious people. So that is also a driver of passion. It can be that you want to help. It can be that you want to learn. Those things all drive passion. And I think it's finding your companions in life that, you know, that bring you that also, and that support you and help you, because the side too that we don't talk a lot about, but is Anne has been deeply supportive of my process as a filmmaker, has always been there and listened to me when I'm like, this isn't working, or I don't like this, or you know, and she's, because it isn't always perfect, you know, and it isn't always like a shiny, happy day. Like, you do have challenges, but having people that you can trust and partnering with people who think like you do or believe like you do, I think is really important also. So that's where my passions come from. But and hearing people like you say the things you said, I mean, those ignite my passion, you know, it encourages me.
Yes, of course. And
I think what was so encouraging is that my wife had a rough upbringing with abuse and her cerebral palsy that she had, and she was like, her dad, you know, pushed her to be, you know, more like very, what's the word I'm thinking of? Pushing her to be
outgoing.
You know, she wasn't really outgoing. It's like when I met her, I brought the best in her. So it's like she was very like just closed off, and it's like she would have had severe cerebral palsy without being pushed. And it's just, I just love being here and hearing the story. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, that connection that you make with your wife or with others, like it's real, it's profound. And you know,
Give your wife, send your wife our love, and tell her we talked about her in the film. And thank you for your fabulous questions.
Thank you, John. I can see the emotion behind you right now, John.
Bless your hearts. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, John.
Thank
That's
you,
awesome.
John. I just want to say I am so grateful that I was sitting in that front row at a Born to Act Players show.
Me
and
too.
sitting, I don't know how many years ago it was,
Me
but
too.
there you were right next to me. And it's like, hi, I'm David. Hi, I'm Anne. And it's that domino effect. And then, you know, we meet people throughout our lives. And thank God I met you, Anne.
Jerry was there.
Yes.
I'm a fan. I was a fan of hers.
Yeah.
And I had to tell her how wonderful she was in a film that Robbie was in and she was in. It was just a wonderful thing that happened that day.
Yeah.
We've been friends ever since.
Yes, we have.
You all have a very special place in my heart.
Here too.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you
both
to
so
both
much.
of you, David and John. I really appreciate your continued support of us and of the film, and everybody in the class and everyone who tuned in today. It really does mean a lot to Anne and I, and we're super excited about the film and hope that everyone goes out and gets it. And the link, because I haven't said it yet, apebbleinthepondfilm.com. You'll be able to access, once it's available, all of the links will be there. But you can also follow us on social media, and it will be other places, but apebbleinthepondfilm.com, or search A Pebble in the Pond on your favorite video on demand platform.
Have we really taken up a whole hour?
Yes, we're actually over an hour.
Oh, my goodness, it went like that.
I know, it was beautiful. Thank you guys, Paul, and
Wonderful.
thank you so much. So great to see you, and just continued success with the film and everything else that you guys are doing, and you're really making a difference.
Thank you to the interpreters too. You guys
Absolutely.
are doing amazing work. Thank you.
Oh, you're both so wonderful. Thank you.
We
Well,
have time.
yes. Okay, everybody, we're going to remove spotlights, do the gallery, and do a little photo with everybody, with Anne and Paul. And on the count of 3, we're going to smile and say your favorite word that makes you smile like cheese. 1, 2, 3.
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
very
John.
much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. So great to see you guys.
You guys are amazing. Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Stay cool. Stay
Thank
cool.
you, Paul.
Yes,
Thank you,
everyone
Ann.
stay cool.
Thank
Thank you, David. Thank you, John. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.